Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Platform Teams demo number 37. And I would like to start this one with the announcement that we have changes in our PMM 229 release schedule. So previously it was like 30th of June RC, 7th of July is preview release, and 14th of July is public release. Now we have kept the same date, 30th, for RC ready, but then we moved a bit our preview and public releases. So preview release now will be available on 12th of July, and the public release on 19th of July, so in a week after preview release. Do you have any questions about PMM release schedule? Okay. Then I suggest to start with the core team, and we have some items from Iaroslavna, Anton, Shashank. So let's start with Iaroslavna, yeah.
Okay, just to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so in the 29th version, we decided to remove the breadcrumb panel from our dashboards because this component is written in AngularJS and it's incompatible with new versions of Grafana. So now it doesn't work in our dashboards. You can see empty space and error, so we decided to remove it. And this is a new version without empty space, new panels. I think that's all. My presentation is very short.
But, you know, we don't have Nuno on the call, right, at the moment. It's getting late, but from UX perspective, it's really good. It's because two different pictures we see, you know, with this blank space and without. So yeah, I think it's pretty important for us.
And yes. Also there was a bug due to this breadcrumb, so thank you so much. It's not a minor fix, it's minor change actually. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Iaroslavna. Any questions?
Probably Nuno doesn't join because he cannot stand our interface. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But thanks, Iaroslavna. You're doing everything to get him back in this call.
Lens.
Love the headphones, by the way, Iaroslavna, but that's a different topic. So, did we remove breadcrumbs completely then, or are they still part of the navigation? I didn't at least see it in the new screenshot.
As I correctly understand you, we have, in addition, we have other ways of navigation. So this component is not necessary for us and we don't need it.
Okay, thank you.
And we have a question from Harry. It's non-environment overview. Or maybe I'm too bad in acting. But I believe it was like that, yeah.
Sorry, don't understand the question.
Oh, can you please share your screen again?
Yeah.
I believe it's related to your screen. Non-environment. Here the panel non-environment overview. So and the spelling is incorrect, right? Should be non, like not environment overview.
Okay.
Is it true or no? Do you understand what we're talking about?
Yeah, but this is like, I think, what kind of environment is this? Is someone created this environment, so it's misspelling by Iaroslavna, probably not by the dashboard itself.
It looks.
Then it's not misspelled. It's something that was personalized.
It's a variable, right? Yeah, correct. Personal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and thanks, Harry. It looks like environment. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Then who would be next? Anton, you have 2 items. Let's start with Mongo and ReplSet states. Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. Now let me share my screen. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, we begin. We have some issues with duplicate items. It seems like when we change metric resolution, we have duplicate metrics. Why? When we change resolution, we also change some configs, some names, and also we change job name. In first, it have a tail 5-second resolution. When we change resolution more frequently, we have 1 second resolution. And also we have 2 kind of metrics, 2 different metrics. Old with old resolution and new with new resolution, and it have some time here. We have 16:52 and 35 seconds with time of end our old time series, and new time series is begin 30 seconds, and we have a 5-second duplication. It means why? This is because here sometimes we have a staleness metrics. This is Victoria metrics and Prometheus feature. I think this is another term for a very big discussion. And what we do? We do this. You can see it. GitHub pull request, we remove tail with time resolution, and after it, it's working correctly. That is all about this ticket.
Okay. Any questions, guys? No. Then next time, Anton, you mentioned that this is another topic about this feature of 5 seconds of stall period. Maybe then we can discuss this also on one of the next demos, right?
Maybe because here about writing metrics to TSDB, to timestamp DBs, buckets, and many other things.
Yeah.
Oh, Anton,
okay.
when we are talking about number of clusters, do we mean that we have 3 clusters or 3 nodes in a cluster?
Here, this is another topic about another ticket, PXC, new PXC dashboard. Here, I mean 3 clusters.
Mm-hmm.
And
can you please start? Can you please start explaining that about these PXC clusters? What is the new dashboard? Because currently we're having PXC dashboards, and why we are doing something there?
Yeah. This is my second topic. I want to present you a new PXC dashboard, new PXC Galera summer dashboard. We created. Duigu, can you help me?
Sure. Let's summarize the historical background. We had a request, and also we see it very complex dashboard, and we collaborated with tech lead Marco, and he helped us to restructure our dashboard to make it easier for other personas of all PMM users. So we wanted to make it actionable, and we want our users to have quick overview. So it's the first iteration of PXC cluster summary dashboard. After this phase, we are gonna improve this one by adding proxy layer to cluster summary dashboard, and then we will work on PXC node summary dashboard too. So the idea is to give an overview and the composition of the cluster and in high level, and then if users see any problem related to a cluster or service or node, so users can easily click on this let's say, warning services here, and then users will be directed to a certain PXC cluster service dashboard to see what happened to service. So this is the first iteration, and maybe you can continue by showing the details. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. From technical side, what I can say here, yes, I understand dashboard is more top level. We can change we collect information from all clusters, and we can see how much clusters do we have in our PMM instance, and what statuses do it have: total, healthy, warning, unhealthy. Some queries to make it to show this status. Also, how much services do we have in all cluster, and node size. We can do something with change one of cluster, and also we can see what we have here: one cluster, healthy, total free service. It have a synced status, and node size. Node size is service is the same in our case, and here we have more information. Here, history of cluster size, service size. Here, let's talk about it after maybe tomorrow or after our call. This is your last improvements here, panels. Also here, the total queries for all clusters, or maybe to one of them, what we choose here. And the next panels from our some dashboards with MySQL. But here is with dashboards is grouped by cluster, not by service name as earlier.
Are those dashboards will go as default one or like experimental?
I think let's go to experimental directory.
So first we put there. Okay.
How are warning and unhealthy defined on the
Warning defined like this. If you mean clusters, when we have this rep local state is 2 or 3. This means if we have one of node in clusters is joining donor distinct sorry, here is typo. Should be joining and joined. I'm sorry. And this is mean warning. Unhealthy is mean when cluster have a status is different from primary.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, but not for Anton, for Fabio. Maybe you can answer this question, Fabio. I was wondering that whether it is possible to make the card panels, the stats panels here dynamic. Actually, let's say as a user, I select only one cluster, and after I filter it for specific cluster, I don't see the number of cluster card here, panel here. Instead of it, I see different one. So can we make them dynamic in Grafana? Is there any feature like that?
I'm not sure I get the question.
Let's say here we see number of panel here for number of clusters, total, healthy, warning, unhealthy, as you see. But if you see if you select only one cluster from the top filter, I would like to see different stat panel here for the selected cluster, like cluster name and
I see.
status, something like this. Is it possible to make them dynamic? It depends on the
selection.
Yeah, selection.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure because I usually don't develop the plugins for Grafana. I can check on that, but I'm honestly not 100% sure about it. I mean, not plugins, but
Fabio, do you mean dynamically dashboards or dynamically panels? When you choose here, when you press button, press go to link unhealthy, you got something like this.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I can check that and I can slack you back on that because
I'm not sure. I think this is unavailable in Grafana.
Yeah, maybe because it's mostly based on JSON and everything. So I really don't know about this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cluster variable that you declare when you add the service, or is this the WSREP cluster name?
Not understand. Repeat, please.
I think what you're using here is the cluster, the -- cluster parameter when you add the service.
Okay.
Is that right? Is that how you get sandbox1 into that field at the top, into that variable field? And the reason I'm asking is that we haven't really forced users to have to use these extra labels. They're great, we mention them, etc. But this dashboard won't work if you're using cluster, that label, and until we change the behavior of our users. That makes sense?
Not sure. Need more investigation. Let's talk about it in the Slack because now
So you
I'm
mean
not ready
that not everyone use this cluster label, Michael? Right?
Well, it's optional. If we change behavior and made it required, that would change the user to force them to define it.
Yeah, but this is like for everything. If you don't use the standard labels, you will like the dashboard will not work for you.
Roman, as you say earlier, you say that we remove this rep cluster name label, right?
I didn't understand the question.
That's for Roman.
Roma, are you here?
Yeah, so Michael is correct. So in some of the places we are using the name of the cluster we can extract from the cluster. And that's like mainly how their PXC is working. For MongoDB, we're forcing users to specify the cluster name when we add in. So for PXC, we probably need to go to this, like the dynamic labels discussion we had abandoned during the PMM2 creation. So at least when the people add in the PXC cluster, take a look at is there the name inside and suggest this name as a standard label for the cluster. So make the behavior is consistent.
You mean
so now we're not forcing people to specify the label cluster, and we are also not suggesting this name based on what is inside the PXC, which we should do.
How you added this cluster?
I suppose it was added with operators. So operators does everything. So they provide the standard label. And
okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, it has DBS label.
DBS cluster, but if user run PXC cluster in Iron in hardware, we can catch this issue.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, this is a good catch, Michael. So yeah, I'm not sure. But what you suggest, Michael? How we should like? Do you mean that we should probably try to, like what Roma said, try to somehow enforce it, like to add a custom label if it's PMM admin?
I don't know. I mean, there's no requirement on users to make sure there's no duplicates in their WSREP cluster names. So the risk is that we could have overloaded the same names.
Now we use VSREP cluster name for this, but with join, I think it is not also a good idea because very huge formulas. And in new PXC cluster summary, there's no.
No, Anton, you're looking at the right area for the data, but we're talking about the actual drop down at the top, the variable definition. You have to go into the dashboard settings. Go to the gear at the top right. No, the little gear icon at the top. You need to make the dashboard editable. Yeah. Yeah. And then clusters defined by
cluster.
I don't think that's the name of the WSREP variable though. Well, anyway, I just wanted to make a point that it looks like we'd have to change user behavior if you want this dashboard to launch. What do? Well, we might run into duplicates. I don't know, Sveta's on this call. There's a bunch of other people that might have some suggestions on how to fix it. My point is, it breaks. I love the label. I use it all the time, but I guarantee you our users don't. They don't leverage replication set nor the cluster labels. So we just got to be careful.
Yeah, let's first validate if our documentation mentions this, and if we do the right work there, and then get back to discussion how maybe to use some defaults when adding the scrapes. So like maybe we should just generate this label in scrape config for the people that didn't configure it. So have some default. What Roma said. Yeah, good point. Thank you.
Well, we're having, the problem statement, right? It's good, clear. Then we can start discussing it with stakeholders or internally by engineering. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
now the ball is on our side.
Yeah. Let's discuss.
Thank you, Michael. Good catch. Any other questions as for the new PXC dashboard? No, Anton, maybe you can present what's our plans, because this would be ours, the first iteration. What are our future plans?
Yeah, now our next iteration is add panels with alerts. Maybe I do it today or tomorrow. I'm sorry. And here with panels. And polish some variables and descriptions.
Okay, good. And this PXC dashboards we're seeing now, right? We would get it in 229.
I hope.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last stuff from core team is Shashank. Do we have Shashank on the call?
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening, guys. I'll just share my screen. Just quickly explain what I'm working on. Okay. So basically, one of the things we are missing in the collectors that we have as of now is basically information about the performance of the collectors themselves. We have some very high level information about collectors, but for every exporter, you can have like a bunch of collectors generating metrics, and you don't get fine-grained information about which collector is generating how much information, how much memory usage, how much CPU usage is being used. So what I've done currently is try to add some sort of metric generation to gather that information. So just to give you an example, so what I've essentially added is basically I've added some new entries which basically tell you time taken for scraping by different collectors in an exporter. So this is for, say, the callstat collector. The callstat collector here basically generates in metrics using the callstat commands for MongoDB. The dbstart collector generates the same information using the dbstats command in MongoDB. The general collector just lets you know whether there is connectivity with the database or not. So this basically shows you the amount of time it took for all of these collectors in milliseconds. Now, what is the benefit of these metrics? The idea is that once we start having these metrics, it will provide you information for you to make smart decisions. Like if you see your dbstat collector is taking too much CPU time and it's not providing you too much information, the next step that you can do is you can disable dbstats collector. But for that to happen, you need this information. So this is the first step in a series of steps where we want to make our export metric generation to be more smart. Yep, I think that's it. What I have. Any queries?
Just one really minor thing. I think the Prometheus naming structure is that you put the term of reference, in your case, the MS, should go at the end. So collector scrape time general MS.
Yep. So this is still a rough draft. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm going to fix that.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah.
Shashank, I have one more question. Are you ensuring those metrics that you're gathering, for example, for call stats and DB stats, do you respect the parameters that the user has passed, or are we collecting them by default, even if they are not actually using DB stats?
I'm sorry, Puneet, can you elaborate a little? I did not get it.
So if I have added if I've added MongoDB without DB stats as enabled collector, I would still go ahead and start collecting the script time, or what? How would this work?
No. So the problem with implementing this and coming up with like a very general framework for collector for generating this data is a little difficult. The current implementation is that whenever we are actually performing the metric generation, at the start, at the end, we are basically computing the timestamps, finding the difference, that is your script time, and that I'm generating as an additional metric. So that process will not happen if you're not just using that collector at all.
Okay, so this metric appears only when you use the collector. If it's you don't use it,
I can give you a very simple example. So I'll just remove callstat, and you should not see callstat here. Right, so you'll just see dbstat and general. That's it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Any other questions to Shashank? No? Maybe Shashank, you can.
Yeah, that's the other question is like, and that will be shown on dashboard, right?
Yes. So I need to work a little on the front end part just to configure that I'm passing the right sort of configuration to the front end, so that so this will essentially at the end turn into a graph on Grafana, which will basically give you information as to how much time those collectors are taking.
Okay.
But Shashank, speaking about the metrics names, the MS is at the end, but I also see the name of collector like DB stats in general. But we also have the label collector already. So
it is redundant. I'm trying to fix it. There are some limitations in the framework that I'm using right now. So I'm just trying to work around with it so I can. So the intention is that that collector name should not be part of the metric name. It should be there only in the label. I'm trying to fix that at this point of time.
Yeah. Because it will be really hard to use those metrics.
Exactly. It should not be the case.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And about our future plans for smart metrics collection, what are our next steps? Shashank would be.
Yeah, so right now the problem that we have is coming up with a general framework. So just doing it for MongoDB and then trying to make it work with say Postgres or MySQL is difficult, because coming up with a general framework for generating this metrics is a little difficult because Postgres and MySQL have their own way of generating metrics. They don't use a registry. MongoDB uses a registry exposed by a client Golang library. So we need to basically first figure out a way to standardize or basically come up with a set of expectations as to how the collectors will generate those metrics, and then basically we can start using this framework for generating the metrics. So that's the next step. Right now we're just preparing the framework. The next is modifying every existing collector to basically work with the framework. That's the next step.
Okay, thanks, Shashank. Thank you for your presentation. And we can switch to portal team. Zoriana Stefanyshyn about provisioning.
Yes, hello. Let me present my screen first. So now you should see my portal UI. Actually, the idea behind this change was to simplify onboarding for database as a service, and second, also to add some value on portal, because we have received this feedback that we should have this value like presented, and we decided to add the feature for both types of users, for free accounts and for our customers, which is provisioning Kubernetes cluster in order to experiment with database as a service. As you may know, this step of launching a cluster may take some time, resources, and even experienced people can sometimes have problems, and we try to simplify their life and also get the feedback from them, and increasing maybe the Percona accounts that will be created because of the value that Percona Platform provides for users. It's like experimental feature. You can see it's really simple UI. The button for launching a new cluster, you hit it, magic happens behind the scene, and you can download your kubeconfig after several minutes, and you can paste this data to PMM and create a Kubernetes cluster. We still working on that. We plan to add some documentation to the page, maybe some highlights, because the resources for this cluster are limited. We do not want to spend Percona's money since this is for testing. And if we have this fully functioning, we will provide the notice to our What's New channel, and you can experiment with that feature. So currently it's just on our development environment. Any questions?
Okay, yeah.
One more thing, the future plans may be dependent on the feedback that we receive, like launching cluster with PMM, and also launching cluster right from PMM. But as I said, it depends what feedback we will receive.
I believe the documentation and how we promote this would be even more interesting, than the functionality itself.
Maybe.
Right.
As a QA, I remember how much pain it took me to launch the cluster. So for the first time, then we had this job for testing, but at the beginning it was really painful.
Right. So, any questions about the portal, this functionality, or maybe some plans for portal itself?
There will be the limitation, like one cluster per day for one person, and also the cluster will live for 3 hours. Like I think that's enough to test the feature.
By the way, about this testing strategy, do we have, the approach of how would we encourage people to use this, or do we have some kind of focus group, or we having like A/B testing here?
Good question. For that purpose, I guess we have this platform What's New channel, and every time we post something, people are discovering that. At least I can see this on the analytics. So I hope that will also be the case.
By the way, let's agree that on demos we will also present, the analytics for the portal. For now, I believe we're not ready, on the fly to show it, but to share the analytics we're having.
There is a plan for every product to present some analytics. So I guess portal is also a part of that. We are currently establishing this process, and I hope in the future we will send the emails on a regular basis, and you will have a chance to see metrics from all products, not only portal.
Yeah, that would be swell, I guess.
So what's the parameters of Kubernetes cluster that created? So
it's like 3 nodes as far as I remember, and 4 CPUs, like enough to create a database cluster.
Yeah, so I think we should mention what database cluster we can create, because the user might want to start multiple databases, like start PXC cluster and PSMDB cluster, and in that case we might be in trouble.
Okay, good point. We will add this also.
Yeah, do we have Catalina here? No, so yeah, we should discuss tomorrow. Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks, Nurlan. Any other questions for portal? Thanks, Zoriana, for presentation. And we can switch to server management features team. And Fabio Da Silva, what do you have for us?
Yeah. So just a sec. Okay. So if you remember correctly, we have the severities that work both on the integrated alerting and also for the severities. But there were some restrictions on which severities could be used, especially on the checks part. So there were just 3 of them, which were critical, warning, and notice. But now we decided to kind of unblock all severities to make it more refined in the way, even more because you're gonna have filtering. So it's a good time to release all of that. So when it comes to alerting, when you create an alert rule, you can see you're gonna have all of the severities here. So it's 8 of them now. So this one here is not used so much, but all the others, for example, emergency, warning, error. So you can use all of them as I did here. So I created this one with the severity, with the emergency severity. And then when you get an alert, you're gonna see it there as well. This is for the alerting, and the same goes for checks. So one slight change we did here. So before we had 3 columns here, which were critical, warning, and notice. But because we have 8 of them, it doesn't make sense to have 8 columns, of course. So we just have 1 column, and then you're going to see a list with the number of failures for each of the severities. I mean, in case you have them. If you don't have it, you don't see it. And then when you click it, you're going to see the detail as before.
Yeah, Fabio, can we say that notice is a failure as well?
It is. It's a failed check that was tagged as a notice for some reason. So it's still a failure, even though it's not critical or in any way, I guess. It might be, for example, in this case, it's about this flash method. So
right, it's not optimal. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, it depends on the case.
Okay.
I think I got your point, Russ. It's like it's not a failure, but
it's a recommendation
trigger it or something. Like failures is something like check, failed check. Maybe, yeah, it's named failed check. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, thanks.
Fabio, would you mind going back to that other screen showing the warning or the actual error, the notice?
Mm-hmm.
How come we don't display what the actual configuration value is? We're telling the user in the last case here, your configuration of InterDB is not right, but we don't say if they chose 0, 1, or
You mean
yeah,
the
it still
actual-
doesn't say. It says we recommend ODirect, but we don't say what they're set to. Why don't we
Yeah.
show that?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess right now we don't have that information on our side. I mean, on the API side. So I guess that's something we can work on. But yeah.
Holman, you understood what Michael's suggestion is, so we can discuss it, prioritize it.
Because the workflow that I see for a customer that receives a set of alerts is they're going to create Jira tickets or some sort of action has to come out of it and save them the effort going back to the database to check to see what is it set to, show it in the screen, and they can copy paste, create their tickets and task it off and get it done.
And sorry, and as I know, these like summary and description, they are coming from the check scripts themselves. So I believe our tech leads can update those scripts and put the real value in the summary. I mean, it's not on PMM side. It comes from CheckD service.
Okay, but to prioritize this, we need everybody understands the problem we're discussing now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just last point is, if you remember on the home dashboard, we also have a panel with the checks. So it doesn't make much sense to have 8 values here, one next to each other. So we just stick with our original ones. So the critical warning and notice, you still see the sum of all of them, but here you just see these 3 ones, so as not to clutter the panel.
Oh, and how they are put together in, like critical, emergency is critical. The error would be what? Warning or critical?
Now, so here you see the sum of the 8 of them, but here you just see the 3. The 3 we had before. So all the others are still there, but we're just not showing all of them here. Because if you have like 8 values with 7 slashes in between, it wouldn't.
And everything is 0, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't say much still.
Sorry, do you mean that if there is an emergency alert, you won't see it in here?
Yeah, so you will see it as a failure, but not here the tooltip. Yeah, it's hard to say which ones could make it here.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, emergency is the ones we should pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can revisit the order, maybe. Yes.
No, Taras, I think we should pay attention to notice. This is something which is really important. No, I didn't. Sorry, Fabio. Did I heard you correctly? You were saying that the real number is 8 failed checks right now.
Yeah, no, 8 severities.
Okay, so we now have 8 severities.
Yes, we always have, but we were kind of mapping the 8 of them to just 3.
Okay. Then I think maybe it makes sense to show only a single number here without slashes, and then in the details expand all of them.
Okay, yeah, that's a good option for sure. Thank you.
Or maybe having a pie and just having the numbers and colors, you can have 8 of them, like a circle.
Yeah.
Oh, a pie chart. Okay, a pie chart. Yes, I see.
Just a circle, different colors, and 8 slices.
Okay. We can check that. Thanks.
Yeah, good suggestions. And thanks for the feedback. Good. By the way, Fabio, since we unlocked 8 levels of severities, what's our coloring scheme for them?
Yeah, so we stick to the same colors. So it's still red, yellow, and blue. And the thing is, alerts, emergency, and the critical are still red. Then debug, info, and notice are blue, and the other 3 are yellow. So it's the same colors, but we just used it for the remaining ones.
So no creativity, right? Okay.
So one question here. So you are grouping those by color. So if now right now you don't have a 0 critical, but if you would have an emergency, in that case there would be a red number 1 there, and it would say critical 1.
No, in this case it's just critical. Yes, it's not all of them. Yeah.
Maybe you could kind of group them. So critical, emergency, the first number, the second number is, I don't know, warning, and what else? And the blue one is notice, debug. And even if you have a critical or you have an emergency, that red one is going to be 1.
Okay. Yes.
So you are keeping the 3 numbers, but you are just grouping what is behind those numbers.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And when you are hover over your cursor, in that case, you could see, okay, this is an emergency or this is a critical.
Yeah.
By the way, Fabio, let's collaborate on it, because, as you know, we are working on new home dashboard to revamp it and improve it. So a new prototype covers it in different visualization. Maybe we can work on it together.
Okay.
Yeah. Good catch, Dugo. Yeah. So we don't do the same stuff twice. But for now, we would need some kind of, I believe, consistent behavior of this right dashboard, because currently it's, I would say it's broken experience, can be broken experience for the users, right?
Because because we want, this is why we are working on new structure of dashboards, and we want to keep the consistency by using same type of overview visualizations panels at the top on the first row. And with this release, upcoming release, we want to test it with PXC cluster dashboard as experimental dashboard. And after iterations over the PXC cluster and also PXC service, the service summary dashboards, we want to apply the logic to all dashboards too. But as you know, we already have a mock-up for home dashboards that we are working over it, and we are working with Nuno for better UX.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we should definitely collaborate on this one, so everybody knows what our plans. And we have a question from Harry. General information section, right? Links to release notes docs now absent, right?
I mean for the checks, I guess.
No. Back to the home, and there is a general info. This one.
This one.
Yeah. Let us remove it.
Yeah, and PMM documentation. So we still have here. It's just now scrollable on the bottom.
Okay. I was wondering why that seemed to be deprecated. Sorry about that. You just have to scroll down now. Thank you.
Yeah.
But you should look into the new dashboard, home one. That will be removed completely, I believe, or it will be hidden from the beginning. Maybe Dugu next time you can present.
Yes. Page. Yeah, good suggestion. Yes.
Yeah,
I will do.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions to Fabio? No? Then thanks for presentation, Fabio.
Yeah, thank you.
And I guess this is it from our side. We still have 8 minutes. Do you have any questions to PMM team, platform teams? Okay. So thank you for participation. See you on the next demo session. Have a great day. Bye.